Welcome everybody spend the next 2 hours with us as we continue our pilgrimage on the road to Eleusis. Yay! My name is Brenda Grace. I am the festival director for Spring Mysteries and the host of tonight's panels. The mysteries approach, and every soul around the world is feeling the call of the Great Mother Demeter to come and witness and participate in her sacred rites. Register and learn more at www.springmysteries.com. It's also up here. Tonight brings us panel discussions with the Temple of Apollo, the god of order, the sun, artists, and healers. And after Apollo, we have the Temple of Artemis, the goddess of the wild wood, the silver moon, hunting, and protection of children. So make sure you share your questions and thoughts along the way in the comment section, and we will answer as many questions as we can possibly get to. Remember, we are asking questions of the priesthood. So the deities are not here in person tonight, but we have our priests who have worked very closely with them, and we're going to learn all about their experiences. So welcome to the panel of Apollo. I'm going to introduce our votary of the Temple of Apollo, Lord Dusty Dion, also known as our archpriest of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church. Dusty, would you like to introduce this other fine man who is here with us this evening?
It would be my absolute honor. My name is Dusty Dion, the votary of the Temple of Apollo. And this year's vessel is with us today, Noel Hubert. Hello, Noel.
Hi. How's it going?
You're muted. Luckily, we can hear you through your lovely lady's mic.
That's the plan.
Oh, that's how you're doing it? Oh, that's awesome. I do the exact same thing when Bella has to do stuff. It just makes it easier.
I'm pulling a Bella and a Dusty.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah, full disclosure, Noel and I are engaged, so I might be fawning over him a little bit today. Don't mind me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I love Apollo. I personally have been a follower of Apollo since my very first Spring Mysteries 12 years ago. So I might have a little more to say in this one than I usually do. But let's start out with our fun questions. So let's see, which one do we want to start with? Okay. So, when you were holding Apollo, do you find any specific activities exciting, or any hobbies, things that you find that Apollo is like, let's do this? And I'm going to start with Dusty.
Excellent. So, anything that involves moving in a circle. So, he's got this cyclical thing about him, right? He rises, he falls, he rises, he falls, he moves around the earth, he moves around the earth. So dancing at drum circles, like when I was holding Apollo, it was more about the dancing than the drumming, though he is the god of music. So the drumming was also very important. That energy of just moving around a circle, like I was orbiting the drum or the fire, was really good. Also, I was really, really attracted to baseball at the time, which I used to like baseball when I was younger. And then I started watching more baseball when I don't know why. I think maybe it was the running the bases energy of it and the competition energy of it. But I also picked up the ukulele when I was holding Apollo and started really like getting into learning music. So
awesome, thank you. Noel, what about you?
I would definitely. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
I can definitely agree with the cyclical action. It's the energy of the rotation. Just waking up in the day is actually it's a lot easier holding him, because it's more exciting and there's more ways to start the day. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, playing instruments, When I picked up the lyre, suddenly I have this urge to play my guitar more again, and I haven't played it in a long time. But I find myself just listening to tons and tons and tons of music, tons of music. On top of the fact that I love photography and I've been doing it for over 5 years, and it's just gallons and gallons of art, just soaking it all in, enjoying other people's art as well, because it's just a way of building yourself up and sharing some of that.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. While I was holding Apollo, I really got into that's when I picked up giving art as gifts, going on to Etsy if it was someone's birthday, buying them a piece of art that someone had created and sending them that. Yeah.
I can definitely agree with that.
Well, I can tell you that art has been so much more prevalent in this household since we've had Apollo living here. There was one rehearsal where I was sitting here and listening in, making sure that, things are going well. And I'm sitting here teaching myself how to watercolor, and I look over and Noel's tuning his lute. And I was like, oh, Apollo's here. All right. Oh, look, we already have some questions going. Yay. Anna wants to know, what does Apollo's relationship with his twin Artemis look like? Jess, do you want to go first?
Sure. So it depends. If you're talking about in a classical sense, it depends on who you're reading. They're everything from she can't stand him to they're lovers, depending on what you read. But my experience with working with Apollo and also working with the priestesses of the Artemi is that they love each other. They care about each other very, very much, from the way that twins love each other. Apollo does not really care about your feelings in the grand scheme of things. He is the light that shines. He is not the light that reflects back to you your feelings. But he actually cares about how Artemis feels. Like, he legitimately cares whether or not she's happy, and would absolutely put the rest of humanity on his back to help her and save her or protect her. He loves Artemis.
What do you think, Noel?
I can definitely agree. It's there's a feeling of kinship there with Artemis that's relating to it as someone who's got 2 siblings. I got that same familial kind of bond that kind of rises up, and it's something that's not normal, considering that how Apollo treats feelings of others. I can agree with that. But when it comes to Artemis, we hold in common that the fact that she's also, well, Artemis and Apollo both are deities of archery. So I think the fact that they can recognize that in each other makes it a lot more relationary between the two. Yeah, they just love the shit out of each other.
He will get shot out over. He'll get jealous. He'll get jealous. He'll get jealous. He'll be worried that someone's going to take Artemis away from him, and he'll also get envious and want other people's relationships with Artemis that she has. People like to say that Artemis never had a relationship, but I have her relationship tattooed on my arm. His name's Orion, and they cared about each other very much. So much so that Apollo was like, hey, I bet you can't shoot that speck down there all the way from up here on the moon. And she was like, yes, I can. Twang. And then she's like, what did I shoot? Orion! And then she put him up in the stars because she was mad at her brother. So yeah, he will absolutely, even with her, he's like, this is about me.
let's see. Chris asks, what is something Apollo has taught you that reflects today? Whoever has an answer first can jump in.
So I'm caught up on what he means by reflects today, because I will tell you that Apollo is the god of plague. So he has a lot to say about how not to start a plague and how to take care of one once it is started. So I would say that that reflects today.
What about, like, I'm thinking Chris, you can totally tell us if I'm totally wrong or not, but I'm thinking he means, so lessons that are important in this modern world today. So, something that we can take from his myths that we can bring into this era, is what I'm thinking he's meaning. There.
Okay.
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
I recognize that as a pretty strong Artemis thing as well. But before I even started holding this energy, it was kind of, I never did a great job of making people know where they were crossing lines and where I needed to make that line known. And like come January, all of a sudden that is just like clicking through my head. It's just like, I need to start. And ever since that started, I've started getting more comfortable with saying no to people. And it's with there's a lot less care in it, but at the same time, you feel sort of relieved. You kind of lighten your load. You keep what's on your plate, what is necessary to keep on your plate. Unless you have some more to give, then obviously you can share with others. But as a Pisces, I always wanted to just help everybody. But you obviously can't do that as a human being. You can't help every single human on this planet. That's one of my big takeaways.
Definitely. So Chris said, yes. So what did Apollo teach you that is still with you today? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Michelle wants to know, does Apollo have a wolf connection? Anybody?
I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't felt it.
Yeah, I have read many in Apollo myths, and I don't see any wolf relations. That is much more on the sister's side, definitely.
Lion. He is the cat, she is the dog. He cares about himself. She's more pack loyal. you know? So, yeah, But yeah, he's definitely like, pride of lions versus pack of wolves, which is in a way congruent with each other. They're at least parallel, if not crossing,
Yep.
Rats.
Oh, yeah.
They're not the most liked. I actually had a funny story when I first was starting to date Brenna, and she was driving along. I think it was like, 10 o'clock at night. But I think I brought up the subject of rats, and then one came across the road. And by then she was like, I knew it. Someday. And I was like, did a rat just come across the road right as we were talking about a rat?
Why, yes, it did, Noel.
Rats are messengers.
Yep.
So bringing with them their messages. I like rats. Rats and mice, no problem.
Will you two tell us about the other animal associations for Apollo?
Dolphin.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Snakes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Dolphin, snake, rat, swan.
Swans, yeah.
And raven.
Swan.
Yeah, crows and ravens. I don't know why both associated, but
Because they're smart.
Well, swan is very much graceful, like Apollo's energy, and raven is because it is it forever ravens have been seen as omens, right? Bringing whether they be good or bad omens, and since Apollo's the god of prophecy, ravens are under his purview. Since they're
Didn't Zeus sleep with their mom as a swan? Is it
Yes.
Leto? Like,
I
yeah,
think it is.
oh yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
If y'all read Lore Olympus, Leto is terrifying, legitimately scary. Like, you know why those kids ended up the way they did. Because she is terrifying. Scary Hera. Just saying something because Hera's scary.
But sweet.
Yes, she's very sweet. Unless you're Hephaestus.
Chariot. I think there was a chariot of swans at one point too, but I'm not remembering.
There are some
There's a
depictions
statue of that.
swans pulling Apollo's chariot or just Apollo riding a swan. Yeah. Okay, we have some good questions coming in. So, oh my god,
Artemis and Automo.
both Apollo and Artemis are patrons of archery. Do they view it differently?
I think they do.
Well, let's see how Apollo views archery, and then when Artemis gets here, we can ask her.
I have always seen Apollo as more pure skill archery. It's not for hunting.
It's the
It's for
art
showing
form.
off.
It's the art form of learning how to do it well.
Yeah, trick shots and
Yeah, and that kind of like falls into string instruments too, being that there's the skill of mastering the instruments, and he views the bow as another instrument, which
Yep.
also has a string. Yeah, so it's very much a skill thing as opposed to Artemis, I think is more of a hunting thing.
I would assume that my sister, our sister, would argue that hers also is about mastery, but hers is more about almost a surgical mastery of it and less of I can shoot this through those 10 rings mastery of it. You know, she knows exactly how to sever the artery of an elk so that it dies the quickest and is in the least amount of pain and the hunt is over the fastest. You know, she's got that. But bounce it off that wall, and into the target, that's Apollo.
Kobe. How does Apollo work with prophecy? Are there still actual oracles of Apollo? Oh, I love this question.
You want to answer, Noel?
I don't know how to answer that yet.
So, dolphins are sacred to Apollo. The word for dolphin is Delphinius. So that is the core of the word Delphi. So Apollo was the god of the Oracle of Delphi, or the Pythia, hence snakes sacred to Apollo. And there's a couple different modern temples of the Pythia and the oracles of Delphi, of which the ATC sponsors one, and our wonderful Brenna Grace is one of, and it is powerful. I have seen the temple get together and prophesize for entire festivals, and it is intense. Excuse me, it is very intense. So, but there's another I know there's another prominent one because our temple has been approached by people that know both temples to ask if we work together, and we would love to get to know them, but we don't personally know them. But yeah, there are totally still people that work with prophecy, and they're still oracles of Apollo, and he kept Delphi and the oracle there, who he spoke directly through her. It was Apollo's messages that came through the oracles, so he is a god of prophecy.
Indeed. As someone who has held the Pythia and is a part of this oracle tradition with the ATC, I can tell you it is very intense and awesome. I don't really remember a whole lot well after I do it, but I know that I get a crazy rush of energy. Some stuff comes out of my mouth, and everyone goes, "Whoa!" And then I'm down, and I go, "What happened?
Did I do it?
Did I do it?"
It seems to kind of feed through, and at least personal experience for me, it comes in form of imagery, and it's always kind of like after something happens, it's sort of a matter of fact. Well, obviously, okay, but there was one I remember. This was pretty vivid, but I remember there being having a dream about a flood. I think it was summertime last year, but then months go by, and then we hit wintertime here, and then there's this massive atmospheric river that happens, and I can't get to work because there's just water all over the roadways. And then I remembered a week later, I was like, I had a dream that there was water all over the roadways and I couldn't get anywhere. That's hilarious. It seems to be just a big imagery flood, and then it just comes back. It's like, oh, all right.
Related to this, Michelle asks, would you speak on Apollo and divination? For example, do you feel drawn to tarot decks, oracle decks, runes? So we hear Noel gets dreams. Good. I do too. Dusty, what about you? How do you feel about Apollo and the divination?
I feel like my divinatory abilities definitely like amped up while I was working with Apollo, and have probably stayed on amped up level, not quite to the level of when I was invoking him every day and working with him as his vessel, but I definitely kept a level up from that. And I mean, I read professionally and felt more comfortable being a professional tarot reader since I from working with Apollo. I personally am drawn to tarot cards. I love runes, but and I can read them okay, but for the most part, yeah, I'm definitely a tarot reader. I do love an oracle deck though. I ain't gonna lie, I do, especially like the Brian Froud Fairy Oracle. Man, that's good stuff. So I don't know, Noel, do you do divination?
Yeah, just with myself, but obviously, but yeah, I'm definitely more drawn to tarot, and then I do. There is a oracle deck I got as a birthday gift that I love. I don't remember the name of the artist, but
isn't it called Angelario?
Oh yeah, it's called Angelarium, and gorgeous artwork. But yeah, tarot definitely feels more snappy. It's like, I think it's the best way I could put it. I feel more drawn to just reading the day when I wake up, especially doing gratitudes, and then like draw a card and see. Okay, and then something will happen, and then I'll be like, oh.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, I really like this question, and I'm super interested to hear what I know Dusty has to say, because Noel has not read Lore Olympus. So this one's more for Dusty. Out of curiosity, how does Apollo feel about his representation in Lore Olympus?
So Apollo knows he's a jerk. But he doesn't feel like he's being mean. He feels like there's a decorum to stuff. Just deal with it, right? He doesn't feel like he's being a jerk. But when I myself am one of the most empathetic, loving individuals, I try my best to care about people's feelings, ask them how they're doing, help them when they're having a problem. And when I held Apollo, and I've held him a couple different times, I am not to the point that I have to, like, I'll say something and I'll see Bella will be having a problem. Like, I'm having an issue and I need someone with a loving understanding to help me work through it. And the next thing I know, she looks at me and goes, and I'm like, oh no, okay. And I literally at one point reached out and went, there. Because Apollo does not recognize his actions on other people. It's just not, he can't come from there. The sun cannot see the reflection of others. He cannot see how his actions are affecting those around him. He can just see how he thinks his energy should be used in any given situation. So, and his feelings and how he's going to end up at the end of any given situation. So, though the truth is, Apollo's so wrapped up in what he's doing, he's not read Lore Olympus.
Yeah.
He does not care.
Personally, I actually haven't followed Lore Olympus at all. But I can agree, just in terms of size, if you compare it to even a literal scientific object, it's just the sun is so large that anything going on Earth is just kind of like a, all right.
I personally think that his depiction in Lore Olympus is pretty accurate to what I know of him. You know, if just left to his own devices, he's going to turn women into trees. I don't know what else to say about that. So,
well, and I would also say that, you know, every story needs a villain, right? So, you know, any good story needs a villain. And so Apollo, because he is so self-centered, is an easy choice because he does it without knowing it. I will relay a story to you from the other day of what Noel had said to me, much like Dusty's story with Bella. I had told him that, you know, when he leaves this window open at night, the street light comes directly into my eyes. And I had asked him why he did it. And, you know, he's like, oh, I like to see the sunrise. And I was like, oh, that's adorable, Apollo. The street light is in my eyes when I'm trying to sleep. And he goes, I don't mind. And I was like, Apollo, get out. And so as a I don't mean to take over a little bit, but as a votive of a vessel of Pythia and having held her and being basically in love with Apollo because I've worshipped him for years and years, I have a very different view. But I am definitely learning that he is not empathetic at all. And I really thought that he was empathetic, but that's just Pythia thinking that he loves her. And he does love Pythia in a way. So I've gotten to see how my relationship with Apollo is much different than, you know, the everyday person, because I am an oracle. And so he and I have a different relationship than a lot of humans.
I liked what you said about how every story needs a villain, because that's very true. And when you work with these gods and you read their stories, well, it's not true that every story needs a villain, but when there's a villain in a story, someone's got to be it.
Yep.
And these stories are allegories, and it's not really fair to hold these gods to a mortal standard. They don't mean the same things. And even to the point of, like, the wording means such different things. Like, I'm going to use the very common, the rape of Persephone. the word rape in Greek society meant to the word that we use, ravish, and the word we use, rape, were switched. So if it was the ravishing of Persephone, that would be the Greek equivalent to actual rape. And the rape of Persephone meant the taking, the molesting in the term of messing up, you know, like disheveling. It didn't mean sex. Ravish meant sex. So it's really difficult to hold these gods and their stories to a mortal standard. A lot of them were telling stories about phenomena or class warfare or the way two countries dealt with each other and stuff like that. So sometimes it can be difficult.
Yeah. Wendy says, Apollo gives me complicated feelings. I feel like he doesn't like me and is kind of a frat boy. But then I find myself accidentally working with him. How can I help myself work on that relationship? That, Wendy, might be the best question I've ever read. That is so Apollo. God damn.
Why is it that we always want to hang out with the guy that's the dick? We're like, I just want you to like me. Why do you want him to like you? He's a jerk. I don't know.
I just want to be liked.
That's fair. That's fair. It's the sun. I have complicated feelings about the sun. I want to be out in the sun.
Too hot.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's too hot. I don't feel like it actually likes me. I'm like, oh, the sun's warming me up. Why isn't it stopping? Oh God, it's hot.
So on how you can help yourself work on that relationship, what might one of you suggest?
Like hanging out with a frat boy. I think it's that's an interesting question. Dusty, do you have anything?
Sure. So when you're working with someone like Apollo or like the sun or like a Leo, right?
I take offense.
Take offense, Bella over here. You have to take what they're willing to give you and not expect them to do more than they are able to or willing to do. You just can't. Maybe one day, maybe one day they will decide on their own to act in a different way towards you, but it will be because of how you held yourself. You can only be responsible with your energy and what you do. And then maybe one day you'll get a fixed sign to change the way that they act because they see the way you're acting. But as long as you have not a demand, as long as an expectation, as long as you have an expectation on Apollo to be a certain way, you're going to probably be disappointed. But if you work with him and then you just allow your prayer to go to him and be what it will, you won't have to get disappointed. So that's what I would say.
I would also say, balance in spending time with him, right? Once you feel like you're not getting what you're expecting anymore, that might mean it's time for you to move on and work with another deity for a little bit, right? If you want that balance to get in there, you can go work with his sister for a little bit, get the moon and the sun energy both, right? Because, they're twins, so they're super interconnected, and it's important to get both of that. So you don't want to just worship the sun. You need nighttime as well so that you can cool down, right?
There's also the aspect of working with not everybody does. I feel like everybody does a certain facet of amount of art, or at least appreciates art of other people. So I feel like even if you don't make any art, you can still relish in just enjoying that and exploring that. And I feel like getting in touch with that is one way to improve on that relationship too. Is just just art in itself.
Awesome. Thank you, boys. All righty. Oh, I lost my questions. Where am I? Here I am. All right. Woo, that's a doozy. Okay, here we go. Red is asking, Apollo is straight up reclaiming this world with global warming and the world pandemic. We done messed up with the sun god. How do we fix that?
It's not necessarily the sun's fault that the Earth is warming up. It's still doing the same thing it's always been doing. We just need to take better care of the Earth. Yeah, just stop wasting so much. Be kind to your fellow human.
Yeah, the sun heating up the planet is kind of us screwing over Demeter,
Yeah.
if we're honest. But the one about the pandemic, now that is in Apollo's wheelhouse. And what Apollo has told us over and over and over again is there's too many people on the planet. There's too many people that don't respect the planet, and that he is both the god of the pandemic and the medicine. And the people that don't believe that the medicine is real are the people he is trying to get rid of on the planet. And so, honestly, the pandemic just at this point, with as far as Apollo's concerned, is it needs to run its course and do its thing. He's given us the medicine, and he's given us the medicine, and he's given us the pandemic, and he's told us to do with it what we will.
Continue to believe that medicine works. You don't have to believe that it works. There's proof that it works. Take good care of yourself.
Yep.
Great answers. Thank you. Michelle asks, would you speak on Apollo's relationship with Hermes? So many great myths about these two. Dusty's squinting his eyes.
Oh man.
Sounds like
One
you've
of
got
the
a story.
just one of the absolute best spring mysteries we've ever done is we had Hermes on this big tall chair on the stage, and there was a point after Demeter gets mad where he's no longer on there to represent that, the world has gone fallow, right? We all know the story of spring, or of the Eleusinian mysteries, and the story of Demeter and Persephone being taken to the underworld and Demeter blighting the earth. That's in all the history books. So, in the myth books. So at that point, Hermes
was on the ladder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Hermes gets up on the ladder because Apollo's not there anymore and tosses a cowhide over the side. And he's like, hey, y'all. Just sitting there. Because for those that don't know, one of the best stories, I say best, one of the most classic stories of Hermes and Apollo is Hermes stealing Apollo's cattle when he was just a little kid. So it became a whole thing. Someone printed up flyers that said like missing cattle and spread them around the festival. And Hermes was
when Kieran was Hermes, a couple people had printed out tons of pieces of paper that said like missing cattle wanted, and like with a picture of Hermes, and it was actually that year's Hermes. It was a picture of Kieran as Hermes, like posted all over Hermes's shrine, all over.
It was so good. They love each other, but it is very much a Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis sort of thing, that Apollo is constantly like, why do I have to be the straight man in this? Like, how dare you make me the straight man who's getting screwed over in these events?
Well, I also know that in the myth where Aphrodite gets caught, cheating on Hephaestus with Ares, that Hermes and Apollo, I don't know why I remember this specifically, but in the myth it says that Hermes and Apollo are sitting there laughing with each other at the whole situation, going,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's
awesome.
my favorite image of Apollo and Hermes in my mind, is them laughing together in the sky going, okay.
That's awesome.
It's a brotherly relationship.
Yeah.
Yep. They are brothers through and through. Let's see. With Apollo having the personality, the sun personality, how does he view Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon?
Ooh, interesting. That's interesting. I have always felt like he respects them. Like, I don't feel like there's competition energy there. Apollo is the sun, and he's like, kings and queens are grand, but I'm the sun. I'm driving this thing across the sky. So I feel like he is very okay with the way things were split up.
There's no contemptuous energy between Apollo and any of those deities. In fact, they all work in tandem.
Yeah, I think he super respects Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's into order.
Yep.
And so the order of things. Yeah. He's really into the order of things. So Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon are exactly where they're supposed to be. In fact, when he sees Demeter break down over Persephone, he has a moment, but that moment is not him feeling for Demeter. It's him going, oh my God, pick yourself up. He's just like, you're better than this. You're embarrassing yourself. He's very into the order of things and decorum.
He definitely is. Let's see. For those of you just tuning in, welcome. We are talking with our priests of Apollo this evening, and in about 15 minutes, we'll be seeing the priestesses, whoever's coming, of Artemis. Yay! So, what question do I want to ask? Okay. What kind of blessings would you pray to Apollo for?
Let Noel run with this one first.
Yeah.
Blessing of finding inspiration to creatively solve your problems. There was a lot of challenges I had in one particular day at work. It was pretty busy, but I remember one of the things that I got immediate recognition on in terms of blessing for the day from him was just asking to help staying present in the moment and having just joyful fun despite it being kind of a beehive of activity, where everybody just dipping in and out of my area and just grabbing all sorts of crap. And I kind of just decided to close my garage door, and then everybody got so upset that they had to walk in through the door, the actual doorway to get into my work area. But it was super cold outside, and I stayed nice and warm. So it turned into kind of a hilarious joke, because then the supervisor said over the radio, if anyone has a problem with Noel wanting to stay warm in his work area, you guys can stay at the top of the yard and freeze to death in your old yard cars. And I was like, I was stunned. I was just sitting
That's
there.
Apollo.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of calls back to that same asking for a blessing on help of just standing your ground, but still have a fun time while doing it. Don't make it a chore. It makes it, do it with joy and sort of, yeah. That's the best I got for right now. But
Well, what other kind of blessings can we ask from Apollo, Dusty?
You can ask him for illumination. You could ask him for good health. You could ask him to, with any kind of music that you had going on. I wouldn't ask him for help with a relationship. But you want to make sure to ask the right questions to the gods. But definitely anything that involved helping you with inspiration, helping you with art, helping you with your health, helping you, with, if you're working on a project and you really need a stroke of brilliance, he would be the person to ask for that,
Definitely has a way. There's a lot of ways you can ask for different kinds of healing too. There is when let's see, it's about 2 years ago, I used to take about 4 different supplements before I met Brenna. And as I got to know her and time went on, I went to the mysteries again. I now take 1 supplement. One thing that he's taught me is if you actually really listen to yourself and listen to the things going on in your body, you'll find that there's a lot of things you may do to yourself that are actually not as beneficial as you think and may be doing harm to you. And sometimes the best cure is to look at what caused the illness in the first place. And it comes back to like a Latin saying. I'm trying to remember what it is, but it translates in English to like cures like. And it's, I feel like it was a very strong Apollo thing. It's a blessing to look for in terms of what can I do to help myself feel more healthy and better every day. And that's one thing he can definitely help you with if you're looking for blessings like that. And just listen to your insight. Like one thing that just sort of made me stop taking a pill that was like, I took it and I got a stomach ache. And I went, well, I've gotten this stomach ache every day, every morning that I take this. Yet I think it helps me because it's got all these vitamins in it. But throughout the day, my heart would beat super hard. And I would think I had all this anxiety. I would be, well, I'm super calm. Why am I feeling like I've got this anxiety? So I skipped the pill one day. I've never had that problem since. So yeah, he's a big healer. He'll show you
that illumination.
Yeah, he will shine the light on the things you're doing that's harming you and not helping you feel better.
But sometimes the way he heals is like a radiation where he just burns that light into your problem until it goes away or you deal with it in one way or another. Like once you ask Apollo for help, he will absolutely give it to you and give it to you and give it to you until you fix the problem because you asked for his help.
Yeah. There was a heart palpitation problem that I had too. That the same thing kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, and oh God, why? Stop! What is going on? Oh wait, I'm having anxiety. And then I figured out what it was. I got rid of it, and suddenly my heart stops palpitating.
Know thyself. That is what was in Apollo's temple. the words know thyself. And that means so many things. 3 little words literally have 100 different levels of depth to them.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left. Are there any last messages that Apollo or the vessels would like to share with the people watching?
I remember the very first time that I came to Spring Mysteries. I went to see Apollo. And I'm a wild child, you know. My patron, when I met Bella in the middle of Ohio, was, and still is, Dionysus. But he's very wild, you know. He's this wild moon energy. He's a little bit of lunacy. And I went to Spring Mysteries and I went to Apollo at his shrine and I said, I need what you have. You know, I understand, I'm very in touch with my emotions, but I don't do enough to create my reality. And I need your light and I need your help. And I walked in there and he was sitting, it looked like 700 feet in the air on the stage of the Apollo's theater. And there was no one in there, and you could just hear my boots clicking, echoing off the walls as I walked up. And he told me that the sun and the moon worked together, and that if I needed him, he was there. And he gave me a little trinket of a sun that's on my cingulum right now. I wear it into ritual, and I've had it for, 14 years now, to help me remember that the sun is always there, even when the clouds have covered it up, even when the moon is out right now, the sun is still there, even when you can't see it. You just have to wait for it to come back around. So that's what I would leave everyone with.
Thank you, Dusty. Anything from you, Noel?
Find the joy in bringing order to your life. Yeah.
Definitely. We've been doing a lot of organizing around here. Well,
Marie Kondo is one of Apollo's avatars.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So thank you, Priest of Apollo, for joining us tonight. I am so grateful you could come and share your wisdom. If you want to learn more about the Temple of Apollo and how you can participate directly, you can find the Temple of Apollo either on Facebook, or you can go to atcwicca.org/temple-of-Apollo. We will take a short intermission, so please take this time to, register for Spring Mysteries at the website listed right above here, and get a drink, refresh yourselves, take a little bio break. We will be back in about 5 minutes or so with the Temple of Artemis.